Hi folks, my name is Shantae. So this is not my normal live, but I think it's time to address some things. I'm not going to be that long. I'm going to be probably 20 minutes because I just had my first dose of Moderna. And so I had a headache so far, but not a crazy headache. And my arm is a little sore. But I took Tylenol earlier today, and I took Tylenol just like probably 10, 15 minutes ago. But I am fine for asking. I drank a lot of water today, so I am good. Hello, folks. So I am good. I am fine. I don't feel chilly. It's hot in my house, actually, and I don't even have the freaking heat on, which is crazy. So I'm checking myself to make sure I don't have a fever. So if anything, I'm fine. Yeah, I drank a lot of water, so I have like 3 bottles of water still on my counter, so I'm good. But I'm not going to be that long. But Timothy Eugene Scott thank you very much. Timothy Eugene Scott of South Carolina, aka Tim Scott. Yes, I'm calling him by his full-fledged name. So Timothy Eugene Scott of South Carolina had the audacity to give that shitty ass speech that he gave. There's some parts of it, but here you go. I'm actually not going to invite people to request to speak, so I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Maybe the next time, but there's some things I got to get off my chest because I'm not going to be that long. So here it is. So I'm sorry, Lee. Sorry. So here it is. 3 months after Confederate flag waving insurrectionists stormed the Capitol. Here goes some of it. We won't ignore what our own intelligence agencies have determined the most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today is from white supremacist terrorism. Then, okay, so I think I read this wrong. Let me just read this again. Oh, girl, I didn't mean to. It's okay. It's fine. So Timothy Eugene Scott basically gave this shitty ass speech. So Timothy Scott said this: America isn't a racist country. And then Republicans said, you see, Tim Scott said it. So it's true. America isn't racist. So let's please stop talking about race. Racism doesn't exist. Systemic racism doesn't exist. So basically, he attacked the Biden and Harris administration for putting out a socialist agenda. Slammed him for his COVID response, saying how it was operational Warp Speed. I think that's what it is, Operation Warp Speed. That then Donald Trump, when he was the resident of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, had a good vaccine rollout and we didn't need a lockdown. And then he also saying we are packing the courts and a whole host of other shit. And then he talked about also the police reform, saying his bill will actually address the policing that's going on today in Black and brown communities. So here's the thing with all of that, why that speech was problematic. And I'm going to break it down. So, as I fact check Mr. Scott, 1, Donald Trump's COVID response was a shitty response. His response basically was nothing. I mean, the man didn't even do a national lockdown like other prime ministers of other countries and other countries' presidents have done to save their people from dying. And because of Donald Trump, America has the most fatalities from COVID-19. And let's keep in mind, America is only 25% of the world's population, and we have 25% of the fatalities from COVID-19. There was no national strategy to combat COVID. I said that time and time again in my videos, the short ones, and my lives, that the Trump and Pence administration did not have a national strategy to combat coronavirus disease of 2019, aka COVID-19. And because there was no national lockdown instituted, there were over 500,000, close to 600,000 fatalities and still counting. Only some states did national lockdowns, well, statewide lockdowns, including the state of New York and New Jersey. The first state to do a lockdown was between California and or Washington State, one of those states on the west, and then the east started, and then the mid-Atlantic, and then the south, some parts of the south, not all parts of the south, and some parts in the Midwest. So, I mean, Donald Trump did not have a response. And let's keep in mind, last Friday was the 1-year anniversary where he told the American people to inject disinfectants to cure COVID. Yeah. So that is one part of the speech where we have to debunk that part. 2, Tim Scott's police reform was an extension of Donald Trump's executive order that was pro-police. It didn't ban no-knock warrants, chokeholds, training for police. It actually gave more money to cops and free range for cops to do anything they wanted to do, including putting their knees on our necks. Yeah. So Tim Scott didn't get any support because it was an extension of Donald Trump's police reform. So that's why senators like Cory Booker and at the time Senator Kamala Harris did not vote for the bill for discussion. And other Democrats followed suit too. So they blocked that shit. Just like the anti-lynching bill was blocked by Rand Paul. But Tim Scott didn't say anything about that, huh? Where was the energy there? Exactly. So that was one of them. 3, Democrats packing the courts. If anybody that packed the court was the Republican Party, then Senate Majority Leader Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr. packed the court with unqualified young judges as young as me and younger to be on these federal benches throughout the United States, including the District of Columbia. And these guys never tried a case. I mean, you put Amy Coney Barrett, who didn't even have experience, never tried a case. She's on the Supreme Court. But the difference is she's following her own mind for some reason. I have no idea. But who knows? Because I don't trust none of them. None of those 6 conservative judges. And yes, Senator Roberts, Judge Roberts does side with liberals sometimes, but he's not to be trusted either because he voted against the Voting Rights Act. So that's that. Number 4, socialist agenda. So giving people relief money is a socialist agenda. So when Joshua David Hawley proposed like child care tax credits, was that a socialist agenda? Giving people a one-time payment of $1,200, was that a socialist agenda? No. Because why? Because Donald Trump was still the president. But now there is an experienced guy, way more experienced than Donald Trump, who actually spent his time from the ground up, from the Senate to the White House and then back to the White House as the president of the United States, all of a sudden it's a problem. It's a socialist agenda. President Biden giving relief money to people, even people in your state, it's a socialist agenda. Extended unemployment benefits, it's a socialist agenda. Giving all 50 states, including the District of Columbia, funding for their states to get back up and running is a socialist agenda. Passing a $2 trillion infrastructure bill that will actually benefit places like South Carolina in terms of broadband, because the broadband in South Carolina sucks. Trust me, I know, because I go visit my aunts and them and visit my cousins, especially when I go to Utahville and visit some family members. The broadband sucks. I have AT&T and my phone don't even work there. It's only one bar. I only get one bar. If you don't have Verizon in that town, you're fucked. Pretty much. Is that a socialist agenda? And then he said something about abortions, saying they're funding abortions. I didn't hear that. Did anybody else hear that? No. But let's keep in mind, Timothy voted against the Biden rescue plan. But they're all taking credit for giving people in their states some money. But you voted against it. So I think that was number 4. Number 5. Because there was a lot of mistruths. Let's see. Voting rights. Black and brown people want, what is it? Voter ID. Therefore, voter ID. Where's that at? I didn't hear any black person say they were for voter ID. Did y'all hear that? I didn't hear that. Did you? I wouldn't think so. See, the thing with yeah. And lastly, let's address this because that shit had me dying. America is not a racist country. You got to be freaking kidding me. America was built on racism. The America I knew, well, I know, since the European colonizers came here and founded the New World, yeah, stole the land from the Indians and basically killed most of them off. And before killing them off, had sex with them, made babies with them, and gave them all kinds of diseases. Yeah. That America's racist. And let's not forget, oh my God, let's not forget the black people they brought from Africa to come here, and at the time, the Hispaniola Islands, which is now the Caribbeans, to be their slaves. And if we didn't do what we were supposed to do, we got whooped, beaten, same thing, sodomized, raped, yeah, all of that. All that. And more. Yeah. But leave it to Tim Scott to say that shit. And let's not forget, I forgot to add this. Jim Crow laws, once we were emancipated for over 50 years, until the well, close to damn near 100 years, until, you know, the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act were passed, where schools began to integrate. Late 60s, early 70s. Yeah. But overall, Tim Scott's speech was full of lies, mistruths, and tap dancing. Even though I'm not the person to call people Uncle Toms, but he rightfully deserved to be called an Uncle Tom by many people. And the reason why? Because that speech was full of Uncle Tom big energy. It was. The fact that you said America was not a racist country, but in the same breath, you said you were profiled as a black man. Where was the correlation between the two? How did it intersect? How the fuck you said that in the same sentence? It made absolutely no fucking sense. And when I was talking with Dr. C yesterday on that Twitter group thing, I was more annoyed. I let everybody hear the speech because everybody needs to get their own assessment. It's always good to hear the other side of the argument so you have a leg to stand on when you're arguing with people. But the simple fact is, he had the audacity to say America is not a racist country, but then say you were profiled. Shows like you are a whole entire fucking hypocrite. You are the C word. And just a tap dancing ass motherfucker. As much as I never agreed with Tim Scott, now it's like I really don't like you. That's why I cannot wait. I cannot wait until he is primary by a substantial Democrat who will kick his motherfucking ass. And I hope there's an emerging representative of South Carolina that will whoop his behind. I know one of those state representatives of South Carolina that follow me. I hope he whoop his ass. Because he is a star. I think his last name is Moore, the guy that endorsed Kamala Harris at first, and Pete Buttigieg. I hope he runs for Senate. Because Tim Scott needs his ass kicked for all that shit that he talked yesterday. He made a name for himself. All right. He made a name for himself that will always be associated with him. Because why? Because he chose to be a Benedict Arnold to black people. He chose to be a traitor. So, good job, Tim Scott, for betraying the people, your own people. Good job. But besides Tim Scott's buffoonery and the C word, because you can't say that on Twitter, and his tap dancing, the Princess of Arizona, Big Karen Energy Meghan Marguerite McCain, had the nerve and the audacity to scold black and brown people for calling Tim Scott an Uncle Tom. So I was not one of the people, as I said, that I called him an Uncle Tom. But I felt like he deserved it because of his speech. But to Meghan McCain, I'm going to tell you this. And I hope this reaches your soul and it manifests in your body. Who in the fuck you think you are for telling black and brown people to not call Tim Scott an Uncle Tom? We call him an Uncle Tom because of his speech and how he is caping for the white men in his party. Saying that you were disgusted and mortified and had a terrible night, where was the same energy for President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama when they were called monkeys and niggers? Where was that energy? Oh, you didn't have no energy for them because you spent your time as a commentator bashing the Obama administration. Yeah, you did. So you don't get that privilege to tell us who to call an Uncle Tom. No, you don't. So I would advise you to shut the fuck up on that one. And lastly, I'm just going to say this. Her name is not Kamala to you. She is not your homegirl. She's not your best friend. Y'all don't go and get your nails done together. None of that bullshit. She is Vice President Kamala Davy Harris. If you can't say that, then just say Madam VP. Because nobody called your father John. They called him Senator McCain for many years. For the 30-something years that he was the senator of Arizona. Yeah. Nobody called your father John, Jack, none of that bullshit. They ain't call him Sidney because his middle name is Sidney. They ain't call him that. They call him Senator McCain. So, going forward, call her VP Kamala Harris or VP Harris. Okay? Thank you. And also, just a side note, thank you, Tara Setmeyer, for retweeting, quoting my tweet to remind Megan that nobody called Dick Cheney Dick. They call him VP Cheney. And as much as I hate him, I just call him Mr. Cheney. That's what I did. I called him Mr. Cheney. Because he is a Mr. Cheney. So, yeah. And before I go, I just need to also address Politico and The Hill for writing these articles about the Biden and Harris administration with Politico. Kamala Harris, well, Vice President Kamala Harris, because I have to correct myself, is not misunderstood. She is standing her ground. She don't need approval from President Biden. VP Harris is doing her job and doing her job very well. She's handling the migration crisis, and she also got another job handling the lead issue and more other host of issues that's coming up soon. She don't need approval from President Biden. She don't need to be viewed in the eyes of President Biden. So Sam Stein, you can shut the fuck up on that article. And in terms of The Hill, the contributing opinion writer for that, we don't have to thank Bernie Sanders for nothing. Joseph Robinette Biden, or President Joseph Robinette Biden, president, has always been left-leaning on issues. Gun reform, women's rights, violence against women, particularly, the climate, which is climate change, and healthcare, and education. He's always been left-leaning on those issues. And I can't even say even racial equality. Where was Bernie Sanders on those issues? Because according to his legislative record enacted bills were more towards the conservative leaning area than Joe Biden's. Joe Biden's legislative record is more left leaning. Because there's a Harriet Tubman bill that he was part of enacting in the 90s. While Bernie Sanders was, I think he was a congressman. And the bills that he enacted was renaming 2 post offices and something with veterans with John McCain. Senator John McCain. So where was his progressive record? Exactly. So all of these bills that that President Biden has come up with, it's President Biden and even Vice President Harris, who is the real progressive. Not Senator Bernie Sanders. No. So I'm going to need for these media pundits and some of the fringe Rose Twitter caucus like Brianna Gray, Katie Hopper, and the rest of the gang to shut the hell up on Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders being the progressive hero, because he's not. And he even said it himself. So please, cut the shit. But on that note, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I will check on my progress tomorrow. I'm going to pray tonight that I feel better. And so thank you, and you have a good night.